Hey there, Kenneth French of Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're very, very happy you stopped by. Either you're going to watch this or listen to this because you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably an entrepreneur who's either just starting out or you've been around for quite a while and you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably a real estate investor, maybe even a real estate agent, maybe a professional or of some sort, professional advisor of some sort. And well, you are stopping by because you need some valuable advice from one of the top industry leaders there is. Anyway, thank you very much. Once again, Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Really glad you stopped by.
Do you want to get wealthy? Do you want to get rich? Well, we're hanging out with a lady who's going to help you to make that happen. Natalia Zacharin. What's going on, Natalia?
Hey, great to see you. What's going on with you? I'm glad to be here.
I'm doing great. I like this one because you know why? Because we are helping to, well, specifically you're going to help people who are watching and listening to this get rich. That's a perfect reason to start chatting.
I think so. And you know what? I love the fact that people are very passionate about what they do, but I really believe that putting your own oxygen mask on first, meaning if you can be flush with money and build wealth, you can do a lot more good in the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know you do a lot of work with entrepreneurs all over the country, just like we do. And you have even had some exits yourself. So you help business owners to increase their net worth based on usually their entrepreneurial endeavor, their business. And you look at the numbers, which I think is a huge component. 'Cause a lot of people don't look at the numbers and they just run the business, and they should at least one have a general understanding or be driving in a car with someone who knows the numbers, and that'll help them that much more.
I agree. A lot of folks either don't look at the numbers at all. They just kind of look at the cash in the bank and they don't really know what's happening in the business. And that doesn't tell you the full story or enough of a story to even make good decisions. There are some people that do look at the numbers, but they don't know how to translate that information into actionable next steps to get to where they want to go.
Which is, how do you know if as an entrepreneur if you're doing well unless you know the numbers? Generally, I'm not saying get deep dives, no bookkeeping inside and out. Don't get whatever QuickBooks certified. But at the same time, if you're again, having consultation with someone who's going to help you know your numbers, know your rate of return, so you know if you're investing in the right spot as far as your business, you're much better off. There's just no doubt. I love this. All right, I'm going to ask some questions. Let's get to the bottom of things. How about this? I'll get to the nitty gritty. Let's add some value to the people who are watching and listening right now. What's the number one tip you would suggest to a business owner to increase their net worth as it relates to their entrepreneurial endeavor, their company?
I would say run your business as if you're going to sell it.
Mm.
Because if you're running your business as if you're going to sell it, you're going to ultimately run a much healthier business with systems and processes, the right people in place, momentum, and all the like. So you have to understand how to exit out of the business to make the most valuable, to make the business the most valuable, even if you're not planning on selling it.
Yeah, if you know you're going to retire, whatever, in 10 years, or you want to, yeah, basically want to retire in 10 years, look at that point, then you work backwards to equal whatever that goal is. And if you'll know if you're off track, that's exactly right. I was just on the phone with a client, or just on a G meet with a client. We were just talking that exact same thing. He wants to retire, and we talked to him about basically de-engineering his endeavor, and it made a lot more sense to him in general. And then now we're going to get in the nitty gritty. So let me ask you about the nitty gritty. Let's say, let's say I'm your client. I'm a business owner. Let's say I want to, let's say sell my business in 10 years. What are some of the crucial things that you think make sense for me to de-engineer it, as the term that I use?
Sure. So I think there are several factors that someone looks at that would be interested in buying your business. The number one factor is systems and processes and people. Can the business run without the owner? What does that look like? So the more you're involved, and it's okay if you're involved a lot right now, especially if you're starting out, but you want to start looking at things and how to create systems, processes, and people so that they start taking over all of those responsibilities so that you become more of the CEO and then eventually become the visionary and the shareholder of the company. So you're always going to be involved, but your responsibility to the company is going to keep changing as the company scales and grows. So number one is, if you are a big part of your business and your business strictly depends on you, your business is not worth very much because you can't sell that.
And
Right?
it's just a job at that point. 100% true.
Yes, and that's okay. That is fixable. The other thing that that they look at is profitability. So depending on what kind of business you have, profitability is still extremely important. Revenue is very important, but profitability is important. So if you take out all of your owner benefits out of the business, where do you leave off in profitability? So for a service-based business, you want to really target 40% or higher. I know that sounds like a lot, but that is truly what a service-based business profit should look like. And then the next thing is momentum and sales. So if you have a predictable marketing and sales process, predictable lead generation, new sales going on throughout the month, month over month, year over year, and you're building momentum, it doesn't have to be 90% momentum, even if it's just 20%. What they're looking at is that every single year you keep growing. That's really big also. And I would say the last piece is the people. You have to have a culture, core values, a vision, a mission, and have really strong processes and systems like SOPs, everything that you can think of. Oh my gosh, my cat.
That's okay. That's awesome. What's your cat's name, by the way?
That's Kitten. She's
The
hungry.
cat is named Kitten. Okay.
I didn't even see her there.
That's pretty funny. We're hanging out with Natalia Zacharin, and we're talking about money, really increasing net worth. Now, I think you talked about something really important, and that's process. I consider, people, process, performance, and people forget about the process. People are in their business; they're not even paying attention to the business, the process, and the process is what equals the revenue, et cetera, et cetera. And we're a big believer here at VastSolutionsGroup.com. We're big believer in Michael Gerber's, E-Myth, E-Myth
Yes.
Revisit, et cetera. The system, if you have systems in place, then you as a business owner can back up and then have other people run it, or have computers run it, or for us, it'd be artificial intelligence that would be running it, and you're much better off. I love that idea. No one talks about that. I'm glad that you did.
Yes, I actually, I'm wondering how many people actually use artificial intelligence in their business. And if you don't, you really should start playing with it, because that is definitely going to give you a leg up on what's happening. Don't be afraid of it. It's very important to start using it. And there's a lot of use cases for artificial intelligence. So I love that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able, I mean, we wouldn't have our clients all over the country like we had. We started doing AI, we started researching it in 2010. We started in 2018 is when we had our own model called Einstein. And there's no way we'd be able to lower client tax liability if it weren't for artificial intelligence. And, you're right. If people aren't using it, they're really missing the boat, because they're going to get potentially bumped out of the way by someone who is using it. And plus, for systemization and processes, there's no better way to put in place good processes without artificial intelligence. It's just the way to go. There's no doubt. I love that you even mentioned that. I mean, you mentioned a lot of things already. I love that you mentioned, we're talking about artificial intelligence, processes, people, all the stuff you mentioned is, in my opinion, spot on.
Yes. Yes, I think the people quotient is the most important, but honestly, artificial intelligence could replace some of the lower level data entry things. So for instance, if you don't have processes, or if you don't have a training manual, you can literally sit there and speak into Chat GPT, just brain dump everything that you're thinking, and ask Chat GPT to put it into a process, and that just saves you so much time, right? So that's like the work of like another person, or that is going to save you hours and hours of time. I use AI a lot for email writing, marketing, editing videos. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So
yeah, we use it extensively, because again, without it, I mean, the example you and I were talking about offline about, bookkeeping. We offer free bookkeeping now to our clients, and there's no way we can offer free bookkeeping. I mean, they don't need bookkeepers now to a certain extent because of artificial intelligence in our model. We call it Vast Bookie AI. There's just no way we'd be able to do that without, artificial intelligence.
yes, and they're using artificial intelligence more and more in all of the softwares. Where we also do bookkeeping, but we're doing a lot more advanced case bookkeeping, where there's a construction company or real estate investors, or I don't know, like we're bringing a couple of companies public right now and doing GAAP accounting. So there's always going to be I don't know if there's always going to be a human, but there's still going to be a lot of human interaction in the more complicated things. But where it's not complicated, I really truly believe in systematizing, automating, creating processes, because the wealthy don't do everything. They know how to do it faster or better or cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So you still want to bring a lot of value. So value is extremely important, and you need to have customer service and you have to bring a lot of value. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that value is you working there for 10 hours on something. If you're creating the same value in a half hour, that's even better, because then you can create 10 times as much value.
Yeah, and then that's exactly. Or you can have lower costs or
Yes.
fees as relates to the whole project, because you're doing it more efficient. You can handle more clients, et cetera, et cetera. So I got a few questions for you. So let's say you're talking to one of our listeners. Let's say solopreneur. Let's say they have a net worth of whatever, $5 million. Let's say they're a real estate agent, also an investor, and they have a pretty good team under them. Let's say, I don't know, there's 200 team members under the real estate agent. What are some things you would suggest to a business owner as it relates to the numbers, the finances, the bookkeeping, et cetera, et cetera?
I would really look at, especially if you have a lot of team members, your cost for people, your people resource is going to be probably your highest cost. So, and in a business like that, customer service and having people is really important, because that's a people-driven business. I would say really look at your payroll to revenue ratio, and per person, even if they're doing their own sales and they have their own sales, but just overall as a business as well. That gives you an efficiency rating. How efficient are your people and what needs to change? And sometimes that answers a lot of questions. For instance, maybe someone needs more training. Maybe someone needs to, maybe they need more training because they need to um, lose some of the habits that they have that aren't really being impactful, or they need to get a little quicker on certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someone's not a great part of your team, and that's okay, because I feel like 50% of anyone you hire is like a 50% chance that they're going to make it in your organization. That's actually just a normal statistic. So keeping an eye on that is really important, on efficiency and working with people. And if they can't, like, you can't manage ethics and character. You only know those things after they start working for you. So if their ethics with working and their character, if their integrity isn't there, then they're going to probably have to move on. So really leaning on your core values and really leaning on your vision and mission is going to be really important as well. But I would say the biggest thing is measuring the people for that type of organization. The other thing I'd say, which is kind of a neat trick, is for that owner or any owner to get a net worth statement, which is going to look very similar to your balance sheet, but it's basically the balance sheet for your life. So it's going to have everything that you owe or own on your life, and you owe. So all your business assets, your personal assets, any other businesses that you own. If you're married, maybe your spouse's assets, any liabilities that you owe, credit cards, mortgages, cars, whatever that debt looks like. And then looking at net worth. So it's going to be all of your assets minus all of your liabilities and what is left. And what you want to do is actually create that sheet. It takes a little bit of time the first time around. And then every month, it doesn't take very long to update it. And just update those numbers at the end of each month and see where that's tracking, because it's always fun to see net worth growing. And then if you're spending too much money somewhere, because we tend to spend a lot more money when we make money, if you're spending too much money somewhere, it doesn't feel like you're taking something away from yourself, but it feels like you're building net worth. So, like maybe you don't go and buy that new outfit that you were planning on, and instead you save up that money and buy another asset, or leave that money and invest it. So I love having people make money and spend money to be inspired, because you don't want to act like you're poor and live like you're poor, because that's not inspiring and it's hard to do what you do. But I do want people to build their net worth. And so if they use that as a trick, it's exciting every single month to take a look and see where you're headed.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Wow, that was really good, actually. Natalia. Oh, by the way, I should do a little reset. My name is Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. And Natalia's going to get us rich.
That's right.
And Kitten is no longer around. It looks like. Wait a minute. What was I going to say? Oh, tell us how to get a hold of you, or tell the people out there how to get a hold of you, because I think there's going to be some people who are interested based on what I'm hearing.
Sure. So super simple. It's going to be Zacharin Consulting, Zacharin Consulting, all one word, .com/vast voice. And on there, we're going to have a couple giveaways, 7 ways to find money in your business now, and the ultimate checklist for financial success. And then the third one is a calendar link for a free financial consultation.
Ooh, tell us about that. Tell me about the free consultation. What do I get if I'm a whatever, an entrepreneur? Let's just say $5 million
Sure.
net worth.
So absolutely, all of us need a little bit more help with being organized, with understanding what's happening with our money, with building net worth, with understanding all those things. So the free financial consultation is basically a discovery call. It asks you a lot of questions, and then we give a recommendation of what you should do next. And so whether or not you want to work with us, our goal is to make sure that you know what the next steps are, and you also know what it looks like to work with someone that should be asking you a lot of questions, especially for like a fractional CFO, that they should be asking you a lot of questions before they quote you or before they get on the line with you, because they need to understand your business in order to see if they can help you. And that's what we want to do. We really want to understand. And the goal is to help you understand what your next steps are.
I get it. And so I assume they supply a bunch of information to you before the meeting, whatever, net worth, tax.
Really, we just ask all the questions right there. Sometimes business owners don't know, and that's okay, but we can ask a lot of different questions and really get a good handle on where they're at, where they are now and where they want to go. And that's
Oh,
what it is. It's where are you now? Where are you heading? Where do you want to go? And like what's the next step to do that?
I understand. And by the way, who's the typical avatar, typical client for you?
Really, we work with clients anywhere from startups to our biggest client is at 35 million. But for fractional CFO services, I think that anybody at about $1 million in gross revenue and up is really going to be an ideal avatar for us. Because if you're less than that, you're really still kind of a solopreneur, or you're just starting to hire. And the magic really happens when you can get at least close to 7 figures, because that's when we can really help you scale faster and prevent the mistakes that others make. And I have an unfair advantage, or like our CFOs have an unfair advantage. We get to see patterns of what works and patterns of what's happening. So we have an idea of what's going on in the economy before most other people know, because we can see it start happening with all of our clients, and having like all these in-depth discussions. And then we see patterns of what works, which is really fascinating. With working with dozens and dozens of clients all at the same time, you start really getting a lot of insight.
I think I would also say, just to make an addendum to that, I would say you're neutral. I mean, some people, when they're entrepreneurs, they're so embedded in the company, they don't see what's going on. They don't see the big picture. I know it sounds bad, but I think it's true. I think more than anything, because you know the numbers, you're numbers oriented individual and staff, I assume, that you can come in and can provide some clarity, but also number two, a whole bunch of resources. But then I guess also number three, a neutral viewpoint on their situation. As again, they're really involved and embedded in the business, and they're going to do what they're going to gravitate towards. Versus you have a neutral viewpoint. You see a bunch of different companies out there on a daily basis, so you can kind of transmit really neutrality and add value in that regard.
That's a really good point, because we are all emotional creatures. We're driven by emotion, whether or not we want to admit to it.
Mm.
And having someone that works with you takes the emotion out of it, because we're not emotionally attached to the business. And also, it helps because an entrepreneur is getting pulled in so many different directions. It really helps to pinpoint what is that one thing that's going to knock over the most dominoes. What is that biggest domino that's going to help you the most? And it's usually the more uncomfortable one. So having the support of someone telling you this is what you need to do is really helpful, because it's data driven, it's not emotional, and it keeps you accountable, because guess what? In a couple of weeks, we're going to see you again. And if you didn't do it, that's going to come up.
Yeah, that's true. An accountability partner. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm going to do X, whatever. I'm going to send that guy or that girl an email," and then they don't. You guys could be accountability partner, and that's another huge added value.
Yes,
you guys do. I like that. But
accountability partner and part therapy, because
I know.
mindset and grit, and it is a roller coaster, right, to be a business owner. So just to help level that out, we have a lot of empathy for our clients. We love our clients. We are their biggest fans, but it is really hard to be an entrepreneur. We understand that. So just having someone to talk things through is really helpful. So I would say it's numbers, data, mindset, therapy, psychology. It's a lot. It's all the things.
And it's hard to be an entrepreneur. That's, I think I might have told you, we have this thing called the Vast Vaults. It's our community, where, unlocking business secrets. And it's huge because, it's hard when you're an entrepreneur. You're all alone. And here we have whatever, over 800, maybe 900 people by now. I don't even know what the number is, but you're all collaborating, trying to grow one another's business, because it's hard. Because our people really mainly solopreneurs, entrepreneurs in that group who may have, no employees, maybe they have 1 or 2 employees, and they want to take their business to the next level, but they want someone to collaborate with. And that group, that Vast Vault, is a group that allows collaboration. And who knows, maybe they can get business from another person in that group. But anyway, I guess what I'm saying is, when you're alone, it gets hard. And luckily, there's communities and groups like yours that help the business owner to, take it to the next level. That's a huge deal.
Yes, why not work with someone that's been there and seen it,
Right.
that can get you there faster? Just like I work with a health coach because they know how to get me there faster. They're not going to be emotional when I'm going to say, "Oh, I had to have that cookie." They're going to be like, "No, you didn't." you know. So, there's accountability, and also they're going to get me to my goal a lot faster because they took all that time to really learn that in a much more in-depth way than I would have. And so it's the same way with the fractional CFO. We took the time to really learn and really understand and think and understand how things work and what to do, so that the people that we work with, our clients, don't have to. And same with what you do as well.
Yeah, it's funny that, people think, "Ah, I don't need a coach, or I don't need a colleague." I mean, everyone should have a coach if you really think about it. I mean, Tiger Woods had a golf coach. Michael Jordan had a coach. I mean, it really makes a lot of sense to take it to the next level for all the reasons we've just talked about. So and anyone's out there listening or watching, one takeaway is get a coach to take your business to the next level. I'm sure they've probably heard me say that before.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, how does someone get a hold of you? Because I think it's a big deal.
So ZacharinConsulting.com/vast voice is the best way. So you'll see the podcast, and you'll get a bunch of freebies, and that's the best way to get in touch with us. It makes it super easy.
And tell us about the first giveaway. I think it was seven ways to
Find money in your business.
there you go.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. That sounds like kind of a cool resource.
Yes. So everybody knows, okay, so you can go through and double check what you're spending on. And that's definitely one way to find money in your business. But there are certainly other ways to find money in your business. It might be other services that should be considering selling. It could be maybe investing your money, reinvesting back in the business with better lead generation and getting more clients, building revenue. Could be with investing in people. There's a lot of ways to find money in your business by either increasing revenue or increasing profit. And there's so many different triggers. There's so many different levers, either up or down, kind of like turning on different hoses. Or I kind of imagine it like a dashboard of an airplane where you have like a million little levers, and one you tweak a little up and the other one you tweak a little down. Well, that's what it's kind of like to find more money in your business. You just have to do tweaks in different directions. So it gives you some ideas on how to do that. And then the second giveaway is the ultimate checklist for a financial success in your business. Some of it is fundamental, of like, you might already know and be like, duh, I already knew that. But a lot of it is not fundamental. And what I find also when we talk to hundreds of people is that the fundamentals are not always being followed anyway. So it's a good reminder.
I know. Yeah, I totally know what you're saying. Yeah, people. Yeah, great intentions, but don't execute. I totally hear that. Yeah. Um, okay. What's give us? I think I might have chatted with you before about this, but we weren't on air. Give me one example where you've taken a client who's totally unorganized, going down the totally wrong path, and you've totally set them down the right path, and now they're a trillionaire.
Sure. Actually, I just had one of my CFO calls, and we are now in our 4th month of profitability and doing really well and scaling. We've been working together since 2021. So why has it taken this long? Well, part of it was reluctance and resistance by the client because we're stuck in our ways. We're afraid to sometimes pull the trigger. It feels very risky, very new. And sometimes the devil that you know is easier than the devil that you don't know.
Yeah, totally.
Um, this was a client that was changing their business actually to become more profitable. They were changing from a break and fix type of model to a recurring subscription model.
Mm.
And so any kind of recurring revenue that's um, that's easy to track, that is is building momentum, is a lot more valuable. And so he started making that switch. It was really hard. He had to fire a couple of people that were not on board with it. We found out that there was a salesperson. We actually saw this in the numbers because the numbers are really cool. The numbers tell a story about everything.
Yeah.
So we found out that the salesperson was actually uh, inputting false data and saying that they were making a lot more calls than they were. So that person had to be let go. And then it was just a matter of constantly meeting every single month and refocusing the business owner. And so what happens when you're really uncomfortable and things aren't going well is that I find that this happens over and over again. This is a pattern. Some business owners that are not doing well, they start focusing on things that are not important, like getting really nitty gritty and like, we need to move this one thing from this line item to this line item. Like, who cares? That doesn't make any difference, right?
I know.
So it's constant refocus, constant refocus. You have to do the uncomfortable thing, go get new business, go do lead generation, fix the marketing, fix the sales. You need to do it yourself now as the owner because you don't have anybody else right now. And the constant refocusing, I think it made that person feel confident that they were on the right track. And then, it takes time. And now we are seeing incredible results where actually his revenue is slightly down so far this month than it was even last year. But his net profit is up $100,000 already.
Yeah, there we go. There's a lot of things you can do with $100,000. I mean,
Yeah.
you just actually, that was a very good point. So if you really think about it, so you found that somehow through your research, et cetera, due diligence, that the salesperson wasn't doing his the work that he was saying. He wasn't doing his duties. But by the
Yeah.
way, obviously there's an integrity deal there. But I mean, that's another reason I think finance makes sense, a bookkeeper or whatever, someone who's, again, in the same car that you're driving, because they can help you. They're your true consultant in that regard, where you as a business owner would have found that, and now you found $100,000, which is going to help his net worth, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's a
Yes.
dream.
Yes, we actually saved a bunch. So some of the products, what we found and why we decided to make the switch, the original products that he was selling were not making any money. So the gross profit was so low that by the time we ended up, getting, spending all the money on the operations and on the admin and everything, there was no money left over. So it was either sell it for more or stop selling that because it doesn't make any sense to lose money.
Yeah, I gee,
Yeah,
we're not volunteering here. And by
yeah.
the way, basically it sounds like it's a or kind of a passive income, or recurring revenue type model you're going. We believe in that. Every single thing we do equates into passive income. If not passive income, it's recurring income. I think that's the only way to go as a business owner, because I don't want, in 5 years, I don't want to have to continue to be on that hamster wheel. I want to have passive income for my employees, for me, so we don't have to work as hard, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's the only way to go. That's good consultation that you're providing.
Yes. So if there's a way that you can make it subscription income where they sign up once and you charge them every single month and you're bringing them value every single month. The point is to make sure that get that subscription income up to cover all of your costs. And then anything that you make over that is just icing on the cake,
Totally.
you know?
Totally. By the way, the agents out there, real estate agents out there, they got to think about this, because right now, if they don't, put together processes in place, systematize what we call causations here at vastsolutionsgroup.com, then they're going to have to be selling a new house every single day, versus, passive income. There's ways for real estate agents to put together passive income, so it totally makes sense. So they're not out there killing themselves when they're 70 years old if they don't want to be.
Yes. You know what? It's a matter of customer service, lead generation, right? And to really like hustle in the beginning, then to train others to do that for you and to save up that money because you, as a real estate agent, you have access to information before anyone else does. So then start looking for assets to buy because that's your passive income and you have that opportunity. Stop blowing money on stupid items and start saving that money and buy some assets and start building that passive income throughout your lifetimes and start scaling and hiring others to do all those other things for you. And that's a really good model.
Yeah, put some systems in place, put in some key people, let the system be able to sell it, grow, and then you can sell it down the road for a heck of a lot of money. This is awesome. All right, what's one thing? Let's get ready to close the door. What's one thing we have not talked about that can add value to a listener or viewer out there, in your opinion?
I think that I want to mention about acquisitions because I don't know if anybody's planning on buying other businesses. It's getting very popular to buy other businesses. And I have two under my belt. And I wanted to mention what not very many people talk about. Besides all the due diligence and everything that you do with buying a business and the valuations and the discussions. So first of all, valuations are subjective. So there's an art to it, which means that it always depends on what does the owner want to sell it for and what does the buyer want to buy it for. It doesn't always depend on the value itself. A lot of business owners think that their business is more valuable than it is because they put so much blood, sweat, and tears into it that they actually don't even know how much it's really worth. So getting a valuation at any point is really important. But the one thing that people don't talk about is when you buy a business, you're actually buying the culture of the other owner. And you might not be prepared for that. So I bought a business, for instance, I bought one that was based out of New York. And a lot of the clients were pretty assertive, some I would say aggressive, than the ones that I was used to. And it was very different. And then I bought a business in Utah, and those are the nicest people I've ever met in my life. I was like, oh, I'm going to buy more business in Utah.
Yeah.
But just be aware that you're not going to expect it. And the other thing is also to be aware of is that owner probably they're selling for a reason. They were probably thinking about selling or working on it way before they actually sold it to you. So it might be a mess. And so just be prepared that it's going to be a mess to fix that for a little bit. It'll take a little bit of time.
Yeah, man, this has been good. Yeah, I think we've added some value to people. I really do appreciate you being here. Once again, one last time to tell you, how does someone get a hold of you?
ZacharinConsulting.com/vast voice.
Very nice. All right, guys. You know what I would say? This has been Ken French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody.